What's up, y'all? We are one night away from the World Cup opening match. We have to get some picks in. I am filling out a bracket. I'm along here with my boy Ash, who is on the line. Ash, what's up?
What's going on?
We here, boy. Let's take a look at this World Cup stuff, baby. All right, let's start with Group A. Qatar, Senegal, Ecuador, Netherlands. This feels relatively simple outside of the news that, you know, the speculation that Qatari officials are paying off Senegalese players to to throw the World Cup or to throw this first game. I'm sorry, not Senegalese, Ecuadorian players. I don't know if that necessarily affects the bracket, but it probably affects the betting for that game. But what's your top? I mean, obviously, I feel like Netherlands is going through easily. Is Netherlands topping this group?
I think so.
Yeah, Senegal doesn't have Mane. So Group A is pretty straightforward. Netherlands coming out on top, Senegal 2, Ecuador 3, Qatar 4. Group B. This is a crazy group.
Yeah, there's a lot. It can go a lot of ways here.
It could go a lot of ways. Did you see that latest Instagram post where England is like is dying in the heat of Qatar, but it's like only 80 degrees out there? Did you see that?
No, but that's believable.
They're like standing in front of these water sprayers, and they're just like exhausted.
They're not used to direct sunlight.
English boys, especially this time of year, are not used to direct heat. That's going to be a big factor in the World Cup. Do you have them topping?
Are they having water breaks? Are those a thing?
What did you say?
So are the water breaks a thing?
I imagine that's a great question. I imagine it is. Ever since whatever that hot time was.
COVID?
It wasn't COVID. I think it was the 2010 World Cup is when I really first officially started seeing water breaks.
I don't remember being that far. I just remember during COVID when they were playing like in July to try and finish the season.
And they were just burning. It says cooling breaks were first introduced in the 2014 World Cup, which was held in Brazil. Damn. The first game which used the break was Netherlands v Mexico, in which Portuguese referee, after temperatures of 39 degrees Celsius, which is what? 102 Fahrenheit. So, man, they're talking about how hot Qatar was. Brazil was scorching. Temperatures of 102 degrees were recorded at the Fortaleza Stadium. The break lasted around 5 minutes. I am not seeing anything about cooling breaks in World Cup 22.
Well, it doesn't seem like Qatar's getting that hot. I think it's like mid-80s.
It is. It looks like it's going to be mid-80s for most of it.
But people are making out that it is like if you get on the news, I don't know, like you take your Daily Mail, for example. They're making out like it is over 100 degrees right now in Qatar. People are just like melting.
Yeah.
It must just be, again, Daily Mail sourced out of the UK. They're not used to direct sunlight.
Right. I guess they're just used to the clouds covering the entire atmosphere at this point.
Bring your sunscreen.
Yeah, bring sunscreen.
All right, so Group B, right?
Yeah, so Group B. I mean, you're an English supporter.
Yeah, England. I'm just gonna have to top that group, but USA very well could come second.
Yeah, I mean, I just like you had a good point where you were like, England just don't have goal scorers, and that's how you were kind of making your picks.
Well, I said England.
England don't score. England have goal scorers. Yeah, let me correct.
They've got a goal scorer. I just don't see how the goal scorer gets any assists to score goals.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's really big of you to say as an Arsenal fan to really be honest about how Saka does not cross the ball. But
yeah, Saka doesn't. It's just
Saka doesn't. Sterling's not really. I mean, Sterling will deliver some moves and tap-ins. Okay, but all that, we're not analyzing this too much. It's just kind of like, can USA dig out a 1-0 win against England? Maybe. Can Wales beat England? I don't see Wales beating England. I don't know why it's easier for me to see USA beating England than Wales. I'm going to go crazy here. I'm going to go US. I'm going to go US.
All right. Yeah.
You can go England. We'll I'll go England second, Wales third, Iran. Yeah. Yeah, let's try it.
Let's try it.
Let's try it. I mean, there's another side of this where England like thrashes the US. I don't know, bro. Like the US has the US's whole defensive line plays in England. Right? Outside of unless Sergino Dest starts, he plays in Italy, but all top competition. You know, Tim Ream. Well, Walker Zimmerman plays in the U.S., but Tim Ream is a Fulham starting captain, fullback, center back, whatever. I'm going U.S. You ready for Group C?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I don't see England being overwhelming to the U.S., and if that's the case, then it's possible to dig out a goal. Though I don't really see many goal scorers on the U.S. team either. But Group C, we got Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Argentina, and Poland.
Yeah, I've got Argentina going 1, Poland going 2.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. All right, that one's easy enough. Group C is pretty easy. Group D, Tunisia, Denmark, France, Australia.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean,
did you see the latest news about Karim Benzema possibly being out of the World Cup?
Yeah, I don't think that really adds or changes anything.
I agree with you. You know, France has Giroud there. They also have a bunch of other attacking players.
I just don't know how. Like, we just haven't seen how Benzema fits into the current France setup.
Agree. They didn't do too well at the Euros. They've been pretty piss poor in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, does Benzema take Antoine Griezmann? Not really. They do different things. Does he take Giroud's spot? Not really. They do different things.
Right. But he does seem to link up with Mbappe really well, and that can be really overwhelming for that could be overwhelming for Denmark, who thrashed them. So I mean, look, their last 5 games, Denmark beat them 2-0. And Giroud was starting with Mbappe and Griezmann.
Which was effectively the same World Cup squad.
Right, which was basically the World Cup winning squad. They beat Austria 2-0 with Giroud, Griezmann, and Mbappe. I remember that. Giroud scored 2 goals. They lost to Croatia 1-0 with Mbappe and Benzema up top. And they tied Austria 1-1 in the Nations League with Benzema up top, with Koeman on the wing, Griezmann and Diaby playing right wing. Dog, France has put out a different lineup every single game.
Yeah, and that again is a problem because these people clearly don't know how to play with each other. Because It's like brand new every Sunday, every game you get on the field.
Every game you get on the field, you have some new superstar that has no chemistry.
Yeah, so it works well on FIFA, but when you only have 3 games and you only play a team once, like, you need to click immediately.
Now, Denmark lost to Croatia. You know, I mean, Christian Eriksen, Martin Braithwaite, you know, Højbjerg, Christensen. I mean, they got a team. They got names. They got players who are playing at the top leagues, but I don't know. I'm going France, bro. I'm just going France. It's not an easy group at all. People should realize that this Group D is actually a testy one, at least in terms of getting out on top of the group. But I think I'm going to go France, Denmark. You know, like the power of Mbappe and Dembele, Griezmann, like they have World Cup winners. You know, they have top stars who should be able to squeeze it past.
Dude, they tied to Denmark France and Denmark were in the same group last World Cup, and they tied 0-0.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be and that's how Denmark beat them that Nations League game. I feel like Denmark just was very difficult to beat, and then they came and broke out on the counterattack.
Like, it just looks to me like Denmark does not
Give
really
up goals.
They just don't give up goals. I mean,
Denmark's last 5 matches, they lost 2-1 to Croatia. They beat France, obviously, 2-0. They beat Austria 2-0. They lost again to Croatia 1-0. Croatia's got their ticket. They beat Austria, they beat France, and they
got
Serbia.
France's ticket. They beat France twice.
Yeah, they beat France twice. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Maybe make it interesting and give it to the underdog. But like you said, France and Denmark are going through. It's just who's going to be 1 and who's going to be 2.
Right.
And honestly, we should play out and see what happens if France doesn't win that group and what their path to the the final looks like.
Yeah,
I'll pick Denmark. You can pick France.
You pick Denmark. I'll pick France. We'll see what that leads to. Group E: Japan, Costa Rica, Germany, Spain. I'm picking Germany.
Yeah, Spain seem to be favorites, but I'm going Germany.
I think Spain are the favorites. Spain kind of caught some stride in the Nations League too. But, they got, Alvaro Morata kind of running the top of that team. Not to say he's a bad player. I actually really like him. But, Germany's just solid. Germany's solid. They have a better midfield. Ooh. Do they? They have a more experienced midfield, I should say. Yeah, Germany's top in that group. Spain. And what would you say? Japan third?
Yeah.
I know
sure.
nothing about Japan. I've seen Costa Rica in CONCACAF qualifying and was very unimpressed. So, yeah, Japan third, Costa Rica. That'll be some fun. Group F.
I'm going to... Belgium, to me, are always consistently, on paper, supposed to do well, and they just never do. So I'm putting them second.
I agree with that, but
put them where their performance.
They seem to always get out of the group okay. It's not necessarily they always on paper seem like they should win the World Cup, and they seem to always fall out somewhere in the quarterfinals. So to that point, Croatia is a team. Croatia was in the finals 4 years ago. Croatia really hasn't added any significant talent to their team, though.
But they've done pretty well in Nations League. So even though they haven't really added talent, they are clicking.
Yeah, that's true. They are a team. Nations League, I mean, Croatia's last 5 games, all wins. Denmark, France, Austria, Saudi. So, for whatever it's worth, they're coming in hot into this World Cup. Man, Croatia-Belgium is actually a really good game. I'm going to go Belgium. You go Croatia.
You've got all these safe picks.
It's not safe as much as I really believe in these teams. I really believe in, as much as a Chelsea fan, I'm annoyed with Lukaku.
There's no evidence supporting you should be believing in Belgium. I mean, when was the last time Lukaku's played? They're relying on Hazard and Lukaku, who have both been injured.
Dog, Kevin De Bruyne is the biggest X factor of any team. Now, they lost to Netherlands and they lost to Egypt, their last two games leading up to that.
Kevin De Bruyne needs somebody to pass to.
Kevin De Bruyne does need somebody to pass to. And he'll have Lukaku, and if Lukaku's not ready to go, they'll have Batshuayi.
Yeah, I'm going Croatia.
I'm going Croatia. You know what, bro? I think I'm with you, dude. I think I'm with you. I'm sorry, you're right. I gotta go. I gotta go Croatia.
I'm just looking.
Croatia's 5 unbeaten leading into this, and Belgium lost to Egypt.
They did, and I'm looking at back in June, Belgium got thrashed by Netherlands.
Yeah, you remember that game?
De Bruyne and Hazard.
I will say that game, Netherlands turned up,
and that's
what can happen. Yeah, that's what can happen when you're.
Well, that's why we have them top of their group. That was pretty easy conversation.
Yeah, that was an easy conversation, and this one's not as much.
All right,
Yeah, and Belgium haven't beaten anybody significant except for Poland. They thrashed Poland in June. You remember that game?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I'll go Croatia. Belgium getting out second. I'm curious to see what those implications are as it gets to into the knockout rounds. Group G. They say this is the easiest group for Brazil, and I'm gonna have to agree. Brazil, I'm definitely top of the group for sure.
Yeah, Brazil top of the group. You know, second is tough, man.
Second is very tough, right? I mean, honestly, between all three teams, Cameroon, Switzerland, and Serbia seemed for me the most likely to dig something out of it.
Serbia have got a lot of good players that I think they've got a better team than Switzerland.
I agree with you with that. Serbia does have a better team than
Switzerland. Obviously they've got Vahalik.
They've got
this guy Sergey. I think he plays over at Lazio. He's a baller in their midfield. And they've got some players for sure.
They also outside of Vahalik, who I think is injured right now, because he hadn't been playing for Juventus. But they got Jovic, who's still around. You remember Jovic's big move to Real Madrid? They've got Dusan Tadic, who has been the man at Ajax for years. They've got Illich in the midfield. Bro, it's so funny, Serbia and all these.
I think, maybe he's not available in their first game. When did they play Switzerland?
They play Switzerland last in the group.
So Vahalik should be back for that game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they start off against Brazil. That's
fine. That's a good game to start off on. You're not expected to win.
Get your early L and then kind of come back against Cameroon. But what about Cameroon?
So you're saying that who do you think they could do better than?
I really do, in my heart of hearts, think in the second spot it's between Switzerland and Serbia, but Cameroon is a real sleeper, and they could take advantage in this group.
But from my perspective, they've got obviously Choupo-Moting, and then they've got a goalie. Now, what do they have in between those two players?
I don't know these players. I'm not gonna lie and act like I know any of these players who are playing at fucking Olympiacos and Dynamo and.
They've got that guy Oliver Neacham. He's over at Swansea, I believe, or I think he's at Swansea.
Yeah, he's at Swansea. Know nothing about him.
Yeah, I'm just not, and yeah, I'm just not really convinced. And not only that, but it's sometimes when you see these teams that you're not really sure how strong their players are as individuals. You're like, okay, maybe they're like a Croatia where they just click, or Denmark. But I don't think I've really seen Cameroon click as a team.
Their last 4 games, they lost to Uzbekistan, they lost to South Korea, they tied Jamaica, and tied Panama. That's the form they're coming. And they were friendlies, but that's the form they're coming into.
Yeah, I've got them bottom. So who do you have 2 and 3 then?
I'm gonna go with Serbia 2.
Serbia 2?
Yeah, I just want to look. The last 5 matches of Switzerland, they lost to Ghana 2-0. They beat Czech Republic 2-1. They beat Spain 2-1. And they beat Portugal 1-0 in the Nations League. Yeah, I got Serbia second, bro. I don't have much really faith in Switzerland really smacking these boys in the face. Okay, so Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. That's what we're doing, Group G. Last but not least, Group H. South Korea, Ghana Black Stars, Uruguay, and Portugal. Is it the group of death? Is this what people think the group of death is? For me, it's between Group B and Group H, because I think that U.S. group is tough. So, yeah, okay, so we got Portugal 1. Uruguay is unbeaten in their last 8 matches. They've beat Paraguay. They've beat Venezuela. They've beat Peru. They've beat Chile. They thrashed Mexico 3-0. Tied USA. Beat Panama 5-0. Oh, I'm tripping. They lost to Iran September 23rd. And then they beat Canada 2-0.
All I'm saying is that this Uruguay team seems to be the most balanced, and they seem to. I mean, they've got big
names for big players.
Araujo over at Barcelona. You know, I mean, they've got the old guard, but then they also got some new pieces.
Yeah,
that seem to elevate this team quite a bit, and so.
I mean, they really Araujo, but Araujo is hurt too. I think he's injured, hip injury.
He's not at the World Cup?
No, he's doubtful for the World Cup. Let me double check.
They said he's there.
He's there. He's at the World Cup, but he's doubtful for the first game.
Yeah, but who's their first game though? Portugal.
No, their first game is South Korea. I mean, and that brings us to South Korea. Like, that team is a wild card. They have beaten some big teams.
Yeah, I mean, they've...
October 15th, Araujo offered an update on his injury. He said he's expected to miss out 3 months, but is in pretty good shape. Dude, I don't think is he at the World Cup?
Yeah, he's at the World Cup.
He's at the World Cup for real? Okay. Again, he's not an X factor. It's just he was just kind of a player to say, hey, you know, Uruguay.
Yeah, he's just a solid. Yeah, well, he's a solid.
Uruguay's got solid players, you know.
Yeah.
Let's look at South Korea since they play them first. South Korea's last matches, unbeaten in their last 6. They beat Chile, tied Paraguay, dragged Egypt 4-1, tied Costa Rica, beat Cameroon, and beat Iceland. I mean, South Korea is a kind of team that can dig out some wins, bro.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Chile, but they got thrashed by Brazil 5-1.
They did get thrashed by Brazil, but I'm expecting Brazil to thrash. To be thrashing, and Yeah,
but I'm just saying it's hard to like use these games as like real bench. I mean,
they're all friendlies. Yeah, they're not like.
Well, I mean, they're games, but they're just playing against some pretty weak teams. I mean, Japan beat them in this East Asia Cup.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Ghana's going to do better than South Korea.
I think Ghana's going to do better than South Korea too, but that kind of brings me to like, is Ghana going to be doing better than Uruguay?
I just don't think Ghana has really performed on the international stage, and even though they've got some good pieces, obviously the IU brothers are still running around. You know, they've got. Actually, I don't even know if I can honestly say Ghana's better now than they were. Like, is this the best Ghana team in the last 10 years?
No, the one with Asamoah Gyan, where again against Uruguay. Luis Suarez handballed it and basically sent them home and after penalties. I mean, that was the best chance I think Ghana had.
Team, yeah.
And that was a quarterfinal. That wasn't even a group stage game. I mean, so to your point, this isn't the best team Ghana has. You know, I would love them to.
Much better.
Uruguay are a much better team, and quite frankly, Korea are a much better team at just digging out wins. I gotta be honest, bro. I think I'm going Portugal, South Korea. I don't think Uruguay's gonna do it.
All right, let's see how that plays out in the.
Yeah, let's see how that plays out in the knockout. So you're gonna go with Uruguay second, coming out of the group second.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna go South Korea for this one. I'll throw Uruguay third, which means Ghana finishes last, unfortunately, and so our group stage is set. So, on to the knockout rounds. So, ours are going to be a little bit different. Let's just kind of hash this out. We have, if my bracket suffices and the U.S. win our group, the Netherlands would play England first. That would be a huge game. And if your bracket suffices and England get out of the group, then U.S. play Netherlands, which I think are big implications for that next round.
100%. The
way the Netherlands are looking right now, they're unbeaten in their last 10 matches. They beat Belgium. They beat Poland. They beat Wales twice. They dragged Belgium. They tied Germany. They beat Denmark. Yo, Netherlands is low-key a dark horse. They might be. Like, these are big teams they are dragging. They beat Denmark 4-2.
I'll go with Netherlands over England.
Would you go with Netherlands over US as well?
Yeah, I would.
Man. All right, well, luckily I have England in this side of the bracket, so I'm going to go ahead and throw Netherlands over them. Man. Based on what we've picked, we have Argentina and Denmark coming out on the other side of that against Netherlands, England. So are we going to just go ahead and just give Argentina that W over Denmark? I don't think Denmark can get through them.
Yeah, well, and that's why it's really important who wins that group, because if France comes second, they're playing Argentina.
Yeah. I'm throwing Argentina in with Netherlands. Based on what we talked about, the next knockout game would be Germany-Belgium, which, man, this World Cup's going to be lit. Every game.
Yeah.
Who are you picking? Are Belgium, the golden age of Belgium, finally going to get over that hump and like win a big game, or is Germany just going to do what Germany does and be Germany?
This is definitely a hard one.
That's a hard one.
I'm trying to think who's getting goals for Germany.
I mean, Kai Havertz turns into Klose when he plays on Germany. No doubt about it. He is a certified starter on that team. Leroy Sané has been playing the number 9 over at Bayern. I think that's important to note. He'll probably play in that, like, if Kai gets to play in that like attacking mid floating position, then Leroy Sané might be ahead of him. But I mean, Germany have some things to work out.
And this game really could go either way.
When Germany beat Italy 5-2, they played with Timo Werner up top, Mueller in the cam, Sané on the left, Hoffman on the right.
And has he been called up?
Oh, Timo's definitely been called up. His form returning to Leipzig has been spectacular. He most likely will be the starting number 9 for Germany, actually. Sané can play on the wing, so it's not that bad for them.
Yeah, they're probably just going to have Sané on one side and
Gnabry.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Gnabry and Sané to start. Again, this is like a FIFA lineup.
I think I'm going to go with Germany.
Man. Let me see what's the latest on this Lukaku injury.
Praying to the stars. He's like, Lukaku says he'll be back at what time?
Romelu is not medically fit. That is clear. Romelu is receiving treatment and has the opportunity to get himself fully fit before our first game, says Roberto Martinez. Romelu's got to start. I'm going with Germany. That's just too much up in the air. Belgium, I want y'all to do so much more, but I can't trust y'all. Germany is a tournament team. That's another thing. Germany is built for tournaments. All right, I'm going Germany. We can move on. Brazil, Korea.
I got Brazil.
Yeah, that's not even necessary. According to my bracket, if the USA get out of their group on top, they'll play Senegal. I'm going US. If I have US getting out of the top of their bracket, then I definitely have US beating Senegal. Senegal without Mane and a out of form Mendy. Shoot, I might need to double check if Senegal can make it out of their group. Yeah, I'll go with that. And conversely, for your bracket, I'm sure England could probably dig out a win against Senegal.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which brings us to, again, depending on how things go in Group H, this France, whether it's France or Denmark, who's getting around Poland? I think if it's France coming out top of the group, they're going to beat Poland.
I think whoever's coming out of that group is beating Poland.
Okay. Fair biz. Man, which would create a USA versus France quarterfinal. Croatia, Spain. I'd go with Croatia.
So I do want to highlight, if we look at, whoever comes 2 in Group G plays the winner of Group H, and whoever comes first in Group G plays second place in Group H. So that basically allows for, if Group G and H finish in the way like we think, like Brazil number 1, Portugal number 1, it really allows, it's very realistic for Portugal to get through like pretty far in this competition.
Pretty deep in the bracket. If all they have to do is
pretty deep. As long as Brazil and Portugal both top their group, they won't have to face each other.
Right. Yeah.
And it makes for like everything else to be pretty smooth for them.
I'm a little worried about Portugal topping their group. I'm not going to lie, but that is interesting.
But if France and
if Denmark beats out France for the top of that group,
then that's going to really change things.
If Denmark beats out France for the top of that group, then France ends up playing Argentina in the first round of the knock. Because, I mean, let's be honest. Argentina is getting out of their group first.
Right. Yes, exactly. France will have to play Argentina.
And what a crazy freaking game that will be. Could be. And depending on that, then the winner of France versus Argentina. Now, Argentina want their revenge for getting knocked out. And I want to say the quarterfinals of the last World Cup when Mbappe completely went dummy on that whole back line and just turned the game into a track meet. But
which he very well
could do again.
He could do again.
And not to mention, not only he could do it, but Kingsley Coman could do it, and Dembele could do it.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think Argentina want to play France, to be honest. I think Argentina is going to look real closely at where France is by Tunisia, and they might throw that game against Poland. They don't want
right, because it's like, I mean, that's really the big risk, right? It's like if France don't top their group, then Argentina is like, fuck, we're playing these guys.
Right. We don't want to play these guys. I mean, Messi's like, I want to play these guys, but there is not one Argentine defender who wants to deal with Mbappe, Dembele, Griezmann, any of them boys, even without Benzema in the mix. That's why France is such a wild card, because it's like, they've been out of form. They don't really have the lineup secured.
But you don't want to play them.
But you don't want to play France. You don't want to play France in a knockout round. Like, you don't want to play Mbappe.
Right.
What if Denmark beats Argentina? Yo, the hypotheticals are absolutely ridiculous. Yo. If Denmark beats Argentina, Netherlands are spanking Denmark.
If Denmark is able to beat Argentina, I feel like the momentum is going to be behind Denmark. And like it now turns in every game is a home game for Denmark.
That said, Netherlands would have had pretty easy road leading up to it, and if they beat England or USA for that matter, the Denmark, regardless of momentum, might hit a wall. Anyway, let's get away from that hypothetical, because more than likely Argentina or France is getting through to play the Netherlands. All right, I'm going to go ahead and throw Argentina over Netherlands just for the sake of being relatively realistic. Relatively. It's not. That's why we love the World Cup. None of this stuff is real. Which would lead us in the quarterfinals to a rematch of the century. 2014, Germany played Brazil in the semifinals and got absolutely spanked. If Germany meets up with Brazil in these quarterfinals, it's a wrap for Germany, isn't it? If everybody stays healthy on Brazil's team, namely Neymar, I think it's about to be Joga motherfucking Bonito.
Yeah, and the only reason why I say that is because it looks pretty clear that Brazil are going to win their group, and regardless of what happens, with the other teams that they have to face, Brazil are pretty dominant either way.
Right.
Like whoever they're playing, whether it be Germany,
Belgium,
or Belgium or Spain, whoever it is, like
they're the favorites.
they're still the favorites.
I mean, quite frankly, they're the
clear.
favorites all the way through this World Cup. But
Based on their path, yeah.
based on their path, based on their team and the form that their team is in right now, based on that chemistry, like very much expect Brazil to be dancing a lot in this World Cup.
This is definitely the best Brazilian team we've seen in a very long time.
Since at least 2006.
Yeah.
And I would say the way Zidane handled that 2006 team, I think this is the best Brazilian team since they won in 2002. It's been 20 years since these boys have been back to a final.
Complete. Very complete.
They're a very complete team.
Back to front.
Back to front.
Backups on backups.
Dual keepers, backups on backups in the defense. Midfield is super solid.
Backups on backups.
Backups on backups in the midfield. And up top, obviously there's no clear number 9, but there's a lot of number 10s. There's a lot of 10s. There's a lot of 11s. They should be fine.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, we're throwing Brazil over Germany or whoever they play, which brings my bracket to USA versus France.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go France. I got England, Denmark, but you're gonna have to go France.
I'm gonna have to go France. You have England, Denmark based on your bracket right now?
Yeah, because I got Denmark winning the group.
Yeah, that's a good call. And who do you have? England beating Denmark?
I have England beating Denmark. Yeah.
Yo, if England win their group, it's all in their hands. And if if England win their group and Denmark win that group,
exactly.
England have a pretty good road. I'm sure they've done. I'm sure they.
England have a good road alongside Portugal.
Alongside Portugal.
Got rid of a huge. You've now pushed France on the same side as Brazil.
Right. France is now with Brazil. They had to get through Argentina and Netherlands. Like that. That's just. Granted, France did it in 2018. France played the hardest bracket of all the teams.
They did.
Which is why they destroyed Croatia so easily in the final. Because they've been there.
Yes.
But to your point, then England would have to face Portugal on your side of the bracket in the semi.
Right.
Which would be quite a game.
Yeah.
But the way my bracket looks, I got France getting through USA. For those of you who don't know, I actually support France. Call me a Judas or whatever. I love the U.S. Obviously, I'm loving what we're doing. I'm here to grow the sport in this world. But France is one of the earliest teams to play the black players. Thierry Henry is one of my favorite players, alongside Didier Drogba, probably my top 2 favorite players of all time. Number 3 being, Ronaldo of Brazil, Ronaldo Nazario. But because of that, I've always loved French culture. Ivory Coast was never in the World Cup, so it's not about Ivory Coast. It's about France. Donc, allez les bleus. All right, we got France going on to the semis. Croatia and Portugal is on my side of the bracket, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw Portugal in it. Which leaves France and Portugal. And for your side of the bracket, you got Portugal possibly playing England.
Yep, and then France, Brazil.
Yikes. All right, so my quarterfinal is nuts. It's France versus Portugal and Argentina versus Brazil. I'm sorry, my semifinal. That is a crazy semifinal. This World Cup is nuts. For probably just sake of bias and loyalty, I'm going to go ahead and put France over Portugal, which gives me exactly what I wanted, a Brazil and France final.
That's exactly what I wanted. Starting from the end and working backwards.
Starting from the back, come to the front. Start from the front, come to the back. Whatever we do, we got the same result.
Brazil.
Yo, this is stressful. This bracket is stressful.
Yeah, I mean, so my semifinals, France versus Brazil or England versus Portugal. I'm gonna start with the bottom half. I think Portugal's gonna beat England,
Yeah.
and then between France and Brazil,
Ooh.
I mean that's it. That's a toss up. I'm gonna have to go with Brazil.
Yeah.
And I've got Brazil, Portugal, and so I guess now we can talk about who wins the whole thing.
I'm going to go ahead and go with Brazil.
Brazil winning the whole thing.
I think this is Brazil's year. 20 years from their last big win at the World Cup. I think they're getting their 6th.
Yeah, I think they've got the hunger. They definitely got the passion, and this is, like you said, the best team that they've had in over 20 years.
Yeah, the best team they've had since the last World Cup win.
Since the last World Cup
in 20 years. There you have it, folks. That's what we got here. It took a long road to get to this. This is going to be an intensely entertaining World Cup, but Ash and I have decided unanimously, despite our differences in picks in the group stage, Brazil will win this World Cup.
With France, I would say on paper, they look just as effective, but their chemistry just does not seem to be there. And so that's sort of why not only do they have a harder path, but they also need to be clicking. Like, there's just too much uncertainty around who is playing for France versus Brazil. It seems like Brazil, they've been playing together for a while, and they really understand how to play with each other.
Yeah, agreed.
And honestly, I mean, France are missing some of their best players.
Yeah,
this World Cup.
Agreed. They're certainly missing some of their best players in the midfield,
Or, players, leaders, like, I don't even know who their biggest sort of leader is in the France midfield right now. They've got 2 top young boys.
Yeah.
Tchouaméni and
Camavinga.
And I don't even know if you play them at the same time. They're both somewhat like defensive.
I think that's why you have to play them at the same time. One of each equals 1 Kanté. So when you're playing Argentina and you need somebody to muck up that middle, I would depend on the industry of both Tchouaméni and Camavinga. And the best part about both of their games are for their age, they are very composed, especially Camavinga. The way that man touches the ball, and he's been playing with Toni Kroos all season. And Kroos Academy is starting to blow up around the world. I think the midfield battles are going to be the most important of this World Cup.
I just don't think my thing about France is that they just don't really have the Pogba creativity. Like, their midfield just seems to be solid, but like not creative.
Yeah,
you've got Rabiot. They're bringing in Guendouzi.
Matteo Guendouzi, who hopefully he won't touch the field. That's a red card waiting.
I'm not really expecting a lot out of the crop of the midfield. I think they're going to be solid, but connecting the back and front seems to be something where they're lacking a little bit.
Yeah. Agreed. People have talked about Pogba. He's been out of form since the last World Cup, but the type of balls that guy plays, the type of danger he gives you at the top of the box when he's lining up for a shot, I mean, that's incomparable. So they're really missing out on some big players in the midfield. And to your point, I mean, Benzema, as important as he is for Real Madrid and as good as it is for him to be in this team, I don't think his presence or absence changes this French team much at all.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if I'm a team playing France, I'm like, oh shit, now I've got Benzema. It's like, well, no, Benzema's replacing another person that would have been just as potent.
Right. It's like, oh my God. I got to handle Giroud.
Mbappe's coming, and you're like, okay, the difference between Mbappe and somebody else is pretty big.
Yes.
But Benzema and somebody else is just not.
It's not.
Especially when Mbappe's already on the field.
Right. Mbappe's on the field. He's the one who's dangerous. Dembele's going to be dangerous. And yeah, whether it's Benzema, Griezmann, Giroud, they're all pretty clinical. So,
right.
You're more worried about the players who open up and create the plays more so than the players who are finishing the plays on France. Yeah, brother. So yeah, Brazil it is. Make sure to follow me on all my socials, TikTok at Eat Pray Ball, Instagram at Eat Pray Ball. I will be pushing out World Cup content all month long. Keep it locked. I will see you at the World Cup.